And so when we come together, we really, come together. It gives more strength and passion and purpose to whatever we feel is the right thing to do, and stand up for what you believe in. So my passion and purpose and my goals are all related to my work life. And I'm glad that there are so many intelligent women who would want to, sort of cross boundaries and borders. I do understand that, in the last 20 years, there has been a lot of development in so many different areas. It's aviation, it's robotics, it's mechatronics, it's AI, it's so much more. But what we have to do is what we call to do. I'm sure everyone's got a calling, and I didn't know that my
that
calling
is beautiful.
has got,
Yeah.
and I didn't know that my calling has got a lot to do with organizational psychology. But that's something that I don't know, maybe I should use the word I'm a I just it makes perfect sense to me. So it's the human element that clicks in organizations and in teams, and being inhuman and considering people like a product, or the kind of approach that you take to manage and man people, policies, and procedures is what makes the difference. If you have a very inhuman approach towards your organization, if you lose the human element, nothing will click.
PowerMind channel, your go-to channel for meeting inspirational people. And today it was my absolute great pleasure to welcome Miss Deepa, who joins us to share her passion for sustainability, to share her insights on writing 2 fascinating books, and also to share some wisdoms with you that she was sharing with me that I would like the world to hear. So very warm welcome to you, Deepa.
Thank you so much.
I'm really happy that you're here today and that you took the time to speak to me. Actually, let me first of all, before we dive into all these passionate topics, let me first of all introduce Deepa to you, dear viewers. So Deepa is a creative content strategist. She has a long background and expertise as a finance and accounting expert. She's also a breakthrough specialist globally and self-published author of 2 books. We're going to talk about that later. So first of all, congratulations on that, Deepa.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And so as I said, today we got together because we crossed paths on the wonderful platform of LinkedIn, where all the great minds somehow connect. So I saw your work and I was fascinated. So I decided to sponsor you, because really the PowerMind channel is for sponsoring and showing to the world great examples of power minds who basically build happier lives. So I'm really looking forward to what you're going to share. So let me start by asking you, what are your passions at the moment and how are you moving forward?
Right. So thank you again. Thank you all. I'm so happy that, we've all got this seed of greatness in us to inspire and aspire. And that's really all about the real life factor, to add life to life. And so when we come together, we really, come together, it gives more strength and passion and purpose to whatever we feel is the right thing to do, and stand up for what you believe in. So my passion and purpose and my goals are all related to my work life. And I'm glad that there are so many intelligent women who would want to, sort of cross boundaries and borders, because I do understand that, in the last 20 years, there has been a lot of development in so many different areas. It's aviation, it's robotics, it's mechatronics, it's AI, it's so much more. But what we have to do is what we call to do. I'm sure everyone's got a calling, and I didn't know that my calling
is beautiful. Yeah.
And I didn't know that my calling has got a lot to do with organizational psychology. But that's something that I don't know, maybe I should use the word it makes perfect sense to me. So and I'm so happy to connect with people who understand what I'm saying, and we are able to connect at the same level, and that's a huge relief. Being able to be articulate and being able to connect, create. It's the 3 C's. I call it the mantras, the success mantra: create, connect, collaborate. But I will also add a 4th.
That's very nice. Yes, definitely. So that passion we share.
We share. So I also will add the word communicate. So we create, connect, collaborate, and communicate. And we are doing this at the same level. So my passion and my goals and my purpose is all connected with the ability to create, connect, communicate, and collaborate. But this is from an organizational perspective and from related to my tangible level of work experience in organizations where I've had the opportunity and the privilege, the right level of exposure to understand a bit more about policies and procedures and practices. But that means sustainable business practices. So that's where my passion is coming from. And therefore, I would have loved to base my goals on becoming an organizational OD practitioner, organizational development practitioner, also connect with organizational psychologists, because they will also understand what I am trying to connect and communicate for, at the whole, the whole purpose is related with being able to connect at the same wavelength. And it's obviously related to the concept.
Yes. May I just jump in there? Because if you say connect and collaborate, organizational psychology is actually it's the scientific viewpoint on exactly that process, what makes humans click. And we share that passion because it's actually something, it's some teams or some groups of people, they don't click and some others do very well. So what is that difference? That is actually something that fascinates me as well, because we organizational psychologists, we always want to find out, okay, what are the things that support a system of work and what are the things that actually hamper it, or what, don't make it possible for people to collaborate. And if we know more, if it gets more transparent, then we can actually help groups of people to work well together.
I was just trying to come to the same point, and I don't know how we connect like that. We're miles away, but we're on the same page. So the real thing is the human element. So that clicks. It's the human element that clicks in organizations and in teams, and being inhuman and considering people like a product, or the kind of approach that you take to manage and man people, policies and procedures is what makes the difference. If you have a very inhuman approach towards your organization, if you lose the human element, nothing will click. But when you have the human element, and when you do understand that, it's got a lot to do with how you manage, what is your approach? How about a difference in perspectives? Maybe you're looking at something from a different perspective. What about diversity and inclusion and equity? Now we're talking about that, but there was a point in time where people were being exploited, where goals and objectives did not align with the people, the processes, the policies, and it was definitely not sustainable business practices, whether it was levels of interaction, professionalism, ethics, everything has to include the human element, and you can capitalize on the synergy, which is what makes life happy, work happy. If you're being questioned, there's no transparency. You would feel like you're going to have a heart attack if you feel that you are supposed to subject to some kind of authority, and if it's bureaucratic in nature. Therefore, we come across people who do, these organizational leadership styles. Yeah, they say that talk about a lot of different styles, and today we come.
Yeah, and I'm glad that nowadays, actually, now we have all these reflections, and I love, for example, LinkedIn for that we have that worldwide dialogue now going on, and that we're getting more and more aware that this is important, what you just outlined. So I agree with you. Maybe 20 years ago, there was already Google, but we didn't have that worldwide platforms that enable us, no matter which country you're from, to participate in that dialogue, that this is important, that that's a value, and that ethics, or as you say, diversity is a value. And now is the fascinating time that people get globally kind of aware of that, isn't it?
That's right. And everybody's talking about that, even at the Global Forum, at the World Economic Forum. I still remember. I still have to say this because if I remember right, Mr. Klaus Schwab also was there. He's the European Commissioner. I mean, I read it in the news that he was also one of the main participants for the conference here in the World Economic Forum. So what he was also trying to outline was the human element, the soul factor, it's the mind factor, it's the soul factor. And it's not just the materialistic aspect. It's not just being incentivized. We are not a product anymore. And everybody has a voice, and it's capitalizing on this.
Yeah, we're in a different era now. It's more global awareness awareness about that. That's very positive, definitely. So
That's
that leads.
considering,
Sorry?
but that's also about considering the relevance of human capital, and every
Absolutely.
talent acquisition team is now geared towards, considering human beings as human capital, and it's not a product.
Yeah, we're not robots, exactly. And global awareness about that helps. So that leads on nicely to, could you give the viewers a nice little overview? What are your goals? What are you working towards? Because as I see you have so fascinating projects going on. 2 of them we're going to talk about in a bit. These are your books. But can you tell us a bit what are your goals are? What are you working towards?
So as I said, I'm working towards being a breakthrough specialist, and that's all I can say at the moment, because there were for multiple reasons I was not able to get the required level of job stability in the last 10 years or so, which is very weird because I started working between the year 2000 and 2010. I did take some intermittent caregiving breaks for 2 of my lovely children. I've got 2 young boys, and I had mentioned that one of them. Yes, thank you so much. So one of them is in Warsaw University of Technology. The other person, the younger person, he's now in grade 7. I mean, he just completed grade 6 into grade 7. So all of these aspects were challenging with COVID and homeschooling.
Yes, and we had a pandemic, exactly.
That's right. So my goal was to find some job stability and temporary contracts, about 10 of them, where I can manage the job pretty easily, and not being able to just work my way through was a big impediment for me. And I didn't know why I was stuck in a quagmire where I was not in a position to do anything, not being able to connect, create, communicate, collaborate. This was too weird for me. Therefore, although that was what my aspirations and ambitions and background was, my current goal shifted towards just being a breakthrough specialist. I just have to manage to do something. I just have to keep on. And that is great,
because actually, if I understand it correctly, you're actually completely reinventing yourself.
Correct.
And that is something totally laudable, because, this is actually what I want to spread the word about with this channel as well. If you realize at a point in time in your life that what you're doing or what you thought that should be good is actually not good for you, then we have the power, we have it in our hands, in our minds, to actually do something completely different and become a different person.
Correct. That's right.
And you're just illustrating that. So that is great. Now, can you outline a bit related to sustainability? Can you tell us a bit more about your work on sustainable business practices?
Right. So with sustainability as a concept, all I wanted to say was that it was, for me, in the over the last decade, it was just a term, a concept that came to my mind because of certain reasons, and because of the fact that I had to mention that at some point in time. But after that, since I had a lot of challenges, just because I thought about a term like that, and just because of a lot of restructuring that happened in big companies that were, multinational companies and things like that. And it was definitely restructuring that was happening. It was mergers and acquisitions that was happening. Sustainable business practices were being followed after that. I definitely thought about that. And there were multiple reasons why I was 100% in favor of sustainability. But that's all I knew at that point in time, until the time. I mean, I'm sort of, for some reason, standing the test of time, because everything is telling me that, I have faced a lot of issues because I'm in the right direction.
Yes.
So that's all I know. It's not because I have acquired the right level of credentials for me to actually talk about it, but I'm talking from my experience that, this is the kind of exposure I had. This is what I believe in. And that's it as far as sustainable business practice is concerned. I had explained certain personal things to you as well, before the
exactly. But for as I understand you, for your conviction now to take your, for example, your writings forward, or to take your personal projects forward, this is actually informing your choices, right? So you are passionate, as I understand you, to choose topics that will actually also benefit sustainability in all ways, in a responsibility, in a social responsibility way, in a way that it actually doesn't harm the planet. So you're basically saying that all your choices as an entrepreneur are informed by this factor, right?
It is, but as far as sustainability as a concept is concerned, I was creating content, and I was creating creative content, and I have a lot of examples from the content, the kind of content that I've created. Because as far as sustainable business practices is concerned, it's more analytical in nature and it's more technical in nature, and you need
right.
you need certain hardcore credentials to explain more about policies and procedures and accountability and transparency and things like that, and increasing the level of awareness if it is within the realms of supply chain and sustainable procurement solutions and practices. So that's again a little too technical, but I, as a person, as an individual, as a mother, sister, friend, philosopher, and guide, us creating a content, and that I feel is more or less a nuance in the kind of writing, because it's not at all voluminous in nature. One of my books, and I call it a book, I don't call it a poetry, I don't call it I don't call it fiction, I don't call it it's just about 21 pages for Sacred Dots, and it's just about 66 pages for See the Sea. But
and we will link in, by the way, for the viewers, we will link in both sources for the books. But could you just outline briefly, like, what are the two books about, and like how did you get to write about those topics? What inspired you?
Definitely. But before I dwell into the details of that, I actually want to read from the book itself, because I want to show you the book.
Oh, that's great. Okay. Yes, please.
Yes, I mean, I actually. In this book, you will see that we've literally drawn out something, and this is our drawings. I have drawn something, my son has drawn something, and I've included that on the cover page.
Oh, that is nice. So together with your kids, you did these drawings. That is cool.
My younger son, he has an aptitude for digital drawing, so I included one of his drawings, because I always encourage him to take part in Little Inventors. So even Little Inventors has got about 8 of his little creations, digital drawings in it, and all of that is with a purpose, with a sustainable purpose.
Oh, nice.
So and I've done my drawings too, because I do a lot of rough sketches. I do a lot of things.
Yes, I saw your sketches. Yes, you also think visually, definitely.
Yes. So these are sketchy sketch notes. It's got some sketch explanations in it. It's got certain meaning, even if it's some whatever I'm writing has got some brevity. It's got some clarity. It's got some food for thought. It's got something for your mind to be clicking on,
to stimulate and to inspire. That is what I picked up from your writings as well. I think your content is basically, and I'm going to share that in the link section as well. I'm going to share your LinkedIn account. I think what you do is you inspire people. You just spark thoughts, and then the person can actually link that to his or her own experience, and that's very useful.
That's right. In fact, I wanted to just read one small little paragraph from my book, so that I can explain it to you, and then we see, whether it sparks an interest and things like that, or to what extent. You can still ask me a lot of questions as well, whatever comes to your mind, while I'm here to explain it. So, for example, I was talking about in chapter 4. So I made it so brief, but it's got so much of essence in it that it has to keep you thinking. It has to keep your mind stimulated. So it's not voluminous in nature, but it has a succinct style of writing in it. But that's nice. But it has a scriptural background, because I look at everything from a spiritual aspect and a holistic aspect also.
Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah, that is the only reason why I don't publicize too much, because it's strictly for a person who actually has a very strong faith life. But I can't push another person to convert into
exactly. The audience will find your book, because those people who have a great lean, or who live their spirituality to the fullest, they will find your book, I'm sure.
Yeah, but then that's a personal choice. So I'm the last person who would push anybody or try to convert anyone, but it has a base, like it's got a foundation. And that's why I look at it holistically. But I want it to be accessible to everyone. So that's another dimension.
It's open. It's not like limited to, I don't know, a certain type of person. Everyone can access it. Yeah.
When I read one paragraph, you yourself will, you yourself will tell me whether you find it interesting or not. And I'm very forthright.
I'm ready.
So yes, that's good. So in chapter 4, I've named it as the Pomegranate and the Beehive. So for me, the pomegranate and the beehive itself has got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different ideas to keep your mind stimulated. It's not one idea, because for me, when I look at the pomegranate, it's got so many seed clusters in it.
Yes,
I feel
it's an interesting fruit. Yeah.
And the beehive has got so many different it's a hive at the end of the day. It's symmetrical in nature. It's got it's more or less a storehouse, and it's just like the pomegranate, which has also got so many seed pods.
Yes, and don't you find that this is a wonderful, wonderful edifice of nature, how a beehive is built and how a pomegranate is designed and built? It's just perfect.
Excellent. So that's what I'm telling you. Everything is foundational in nature. And just because you look at because you look at a biblical context and you see that, oh, look at the heavens and see the handiwork of God, you don't have to discriminate the scriptural relevance of something which is really amazing, the infinite potential of nature. Just because there's a master behind it, we don't have to undermine or overestimate the impact of that infinite mind.
That's very nice. Yes.
Yeah, that's why I am saying all this, even from sea to sea. I was talking about different perspectives with which you see things, and you never see.
Yes.
You see it, but you don't perceive it.
Yes, I can now. For example, if I go through the forest and I pass a tree, I can see in that tree totally different beings, totally different. But I need to, as you said, I need to switch perspectives, my glasses off or maybe on, to be able to perceive that and also to feel the energy of that tree.
Correct.
It depends on the individual, how he or she captures what is there,
And just because you feel the energy of freshness and the greenery around doesn't mean that you need to undermine or overestimate the higher potential of an infinite mind that's placed it there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So with that said, I just will have a paragraph or two, and then you'll see, what am I talking? Am I talking classical literature, or am I talking French, Latin, Greek, architecture?
I hope you're not talking Latin, because I don't understand that. But
yeah. So
I know what you mean.
Yeah. So one paragraph is the starting of the pomegranate and the beehive is the term fecundity is a bountiful replica of not just a beautiful fruit with a multitude of seeds, but also symbolizes passion and fertility. In fact, fecundity also means the ability to produce new ideas through the power of ideation. It's also true that fecundity of one's imagination can make a profound impact. And this also means that what's mind-blowing is the perfection with which the construct of an ark, which was built, so here in another paragraph, I was just trying to compare the construct of an ark, Noah's ark, which had so many different rooms in it to stop the mankind from becoming extinct, wherein God had ordained somebody to create something as per certain specifications. So that was made out of acacia wood, and acacia itself is a kind of wood which is far more surpasses the strength and vitality of mahogany. And nobody knew about it unless they received some sort of an inspiration to do something as per certain instructions that they receive on a spiritual level. So, but that doesn't have to be undermined, because it was an amazing construct. It was the most amazing construct, Noah's Ark. Everybody's heard of it. It stands the test of time. It's something that could room all the different pairs of animals and birds without the earth becoming extinct of these different beautiful species. And that was, again, sustainability to me.
Yes, it's true.
And
it's sustainable,
also, and it also looks like the belly of a shark, and it also looks like the womb of the ark can be compared to the womb of the fruit of a pomegranate. It has seed clusters, seed pods that protects. It has a natural outline and a lining which rooms so many different seeds of life, which could be ideas as well from a different perspective. And that's just like the pouch of a kangaroo. So this is all, the womb, signifies everything to do with something by which you can nurture and cherish and sustain.
And also protect and
sustain.
Like create a safe space, That is beautiful. Actually, what you're doing here is you're using a lot of examples from nature also to make people aware of what is sometimes important for things to exist. Right? We can learn a lot from nature for how can we coexist, collaborate, and work. We need an appropriate environment. And like just when you use these images of the pomegranate, the beehive, made me think that's perfect images for us to learn from how we should maybe organize. Because unless we don't create a system or space where people can coexist psychologically safely, we create chaos.
That's right.
So that's nice.
But the fact that we look at the ants, we look at nature, we look at the infinite mind behind, behind weaving the entire masterpiece of something that can nourish and cherish and sustain from becoming extinct itself is a big concept. And there's so many different imagery that you can use.
The whole system we're in,
from whatever background that you are, because I have a very, very strong, spiritual background, because I'm an Orthodox by nature, but I'm not religious in any way, because I believe that for me, it's more about your personal relationship with your creator God, that you get to understand a lot of things and grow in your levels of spirituality holistically,
That's nice, yeah. But I like your images, the way you use it, because then you also leave it to the reader to make his or her own conclusion from that. You don't, as you said before, you don't force anyone into believing anything. You just give nice images, you describe them, and that can spark ideas. That is really nice. But I always feel, I think what we can do, as you said before, we can't force people, everyone has a different perspective, but we can actually do the effort of showing our perspective. And then on that basis, as you said before, we can spark ideas. And if these ideas connect, we can then create an environment that lets people thrive in that environment. So
Correct.
I don't think everyone has to think the same thoughts, but we can, your images you use, they're powerful because they connect people, because everyone has an association with a beehive. Everyone has.
That's right. In fact, in another, I think it's the same chapter. Yeah, in the same chapter, I've come I came forward and I talked about something else, and that was related to a process of embedding structural and strategic systems and processes to drive forward transformational changes may have a drastic impact on the organizational and emotional levels. And why am I saying that? I'm saying that because I am linking that with certain universal principles, and that has a deeply underlying sense of structure and synchrony. That's why I'm using that kind of imagery.
Ah, yes. You actually map it onto organizations of humans.
No, yeah, I mean structural and strategic systems, holistic way of transformational changes and change management in organizations, because I always touch on topics like that because I have a passion in it.
Yes, and there we come back to organizational psychology, because organizational psychology is huge in managing change. So there we go. So I'm just going to repeat for the viewers how your books are called. So the one you were reading out is called Sacred Dots, and the other one is called See the Sea by Miss Deepa Abraham. So I'm going to link it, obviously. And now, final question. If you saw yourself, like, let's say some time ahead, maybe in the future, in the 2030s, if we dare to think that far, where do you see yourself? What is your vision? What is your journey where you say, okay, I'm going in that direction?
I will be sitting right next to you, and we will be... and we will be called global accelerators.
That is great. Thank you so much, dear Deepa. That is a wonderful closing word, because now we have the pressure on. In 10 years, we're going to do a video where you sit next to me.
And we will do a film of a person like you and me who came forward as global accelerators from certain traumatic incidents that led to, us joining hands for organizational leadership, development, and so on and so forth.
That is actually something that is beautiful what you just said, because you're using the global platforms to be an accelerator, because you want to help people it's not just, I mean, I really got it. You are a forward thinker, you are somebody who wants to enable others, but this acceleration thing is you want to enable others, right? You want to help them
as
if they
well,
are on a similar journey.
because
And that is
because
powerful.
what can I do alone is something that really hurt me, because there was a point in time I couldn't do anything. I couldn't create, connect, collaborate, communicate, work, buy, sell. I was literally stuck in a quagmire, and that was what pushed me again and again towards what I believe, what I think what I believe in.
And that is so passionate. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Deepa. Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
I will wish you all the best for the future. And I can only recommend the viewers to check out your LinkedIn page, and I will obviously link the books. So thank you very much.
Thank you.